Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Hard Choice. Simple steps for showing up. My name is Brad Draper. I am your host. Let's do this. I had a burp there. I made a new electrolyte. It is strawberry kiwi. It is very yummy. And I just drank way too much because I was very thirsty. Oh, there we go. Let's go. Make sure you drink your water. Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you drink your electrolytes. They do a body bueno. And on to what we have to talk about today. I was at a birthday party for my son. It's one of his school friends, and it was his 7-year-old birthday party. Super fun, super exciting. It was at a park, and the kids just played. And one of the dads of the children there, I have known for an extended period of time. Let's see, how long have I known him? Almost 15 years, which is pretty wild. Maybe not that long, 12 to 15 years. I don't know. It's been a while, over a decade. He used to be one of my vendors. So when I was in the laboratory space, we used a local company in Salt Lake to give us or sell us consumable products, the things we used on a regular basis. Tubes, chemicals, reagents, reactions, things of that nature. Dishes, powders, whatever. And he was one of the owners of that company. He has since sold his ownership and started his own company. But back in the day, they would come to our facility, do audits, do check-ins, and they would just bring us all these things that we'd be buying on routine / they would come and check our inventory for us. It's called a customer or vendor managed inventory, VMI. Pretty cool. But they did this, and I saw him regularly. And we were at this birthday party, and that's about the only time I see him these days. Because my son and his son and their group of friends are all friends. So when they all have birthday parties, that's where I see them. And he made a comment the other day during this birthday party that I've been pondering quite a bit. He mentioned and said, you have a plethora of knowledge in a very, very niche space. Dietary supplement testing laboratory. I know a whole lot about a really little amount of things. And we were talking because he is still in the lab space. He started another company selling used lab equipment and working on used lab equipment. So I was helping him with these things and answering questions. And he said, "What are you in again? What is your new company?" I said, "We're in technology. We help with technology. We utilize AI. We have engineers. They do the whole kit and caboodle with AI and technology." He said, "That is kind of a shame. You have a plethora of knowledge in a very niche space that you literally up and left and started a new company in a completely different sector, a sector you basically know nothing about compared to this other sector. Why?" I would imagine, got a hair in my mouth. I would imagine you would have gone to another company, started a company in that space, the dietary supplement testing laboratory space. I even have a degree in chemistry. All of my world was around dietary supplements and chemical testing, specifically for FDA regulation and approval. I was third party. I did not work for the FDA. But what a shame. And I sat back and I said, it's interesting that you think that. Being in the laboratory, I accrued a set of skills. I accrued the specific set of skills of business operations, quality management systems. That's what I ran in the lab. And then 2, looking at numbers, charting and trending numbers, and then deducing a story from said numbers. Our clients would send us samples, and we would test these samples from microbials, from pathogens, from toxins, from heavy metals, all the way to the good stuff like electrolytes and minerals for your body, calcium, potassium, magnesium, silicone, lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, E. coli, salmonella, all these things we tested. And so I would watch these numbers, and when I'm testing on an analytical instrument, it's just a ton of numbers just kind of falling. And as I see the numbers falling, I can see the amount of what I'm specifically looking at, or the target analyte. Looking at this target analyte, and I can tell you are either in spec or you're not in specification. If you're not in specification, why? And so you do a slew of tests on what could be the contamination source, what could be the problem, what happened in manufacturing, what kind of blenders did you use, what kind of pre-blends did you use, what granular size of product did you use. I was able to ask a slew of questions and deduce a story as to a possible outcome on how they got a contamination source or what this would mean for their product. Because sometimes this is a very small run, but sometimes if a product failed a lab test, that could mean millions of dollars just went down the drain. Because most of the time, all of manufacturing has already happened. Actually, all the time, manufacturing has happened, and they're testing it at the very end. It's the very last thing to happen before it gets shipped off. If it fails, potentially pallets and pallets and semi-trucks of product have to either be redone or disposed of. That sucks. It's a very big deal. But it is to keep their customers safe, because the things we're testing for could be potentially harmful. So this ability to look at numbers and deduce a whole story about something has become a superpower. It's something I hated doing. I hated sitting there and just watching all these numbers. I'd get bored, and I would chart them and graph them and compare them and take different numbers that didn't seem to be synonymous with each other or in trend with each other at all, but on a chart. Maybe they were inverse each other. Maybe they were in trend with each other. Maybe they affected each other in an adverse way. I have taken those skills of quality management systems and business operations, storytelling from numbers, and I have adapted that and transferred that to AI and technology. See, I'm not the strategist. I'm not the coder. I'm the analyst. So my business partner, my brother, he's the strategist. He's the one putting the strategy behind the AI. Our engineers, they're the coders. They're the ones writing the code to do the strategy. And then once it is operating and moving forward, I take the numbers, I analyze the numbers, and I deduce, are we operating as the strategy is designed or are we not? Because from very appearance, it might say we're doing great, but in reality, we're sucking. Or we can look and say we're sucking, but in reality, we're doing great. Depends on what the analysis says. So I relay all this to him and say, hey, I may have been in a niche world and I've completely changed universes and completely new sectors, but it doesn't mean I didn't bring the skills with me. All of this I want to bring to you. What are you doing in your current field of work? The thing that brings you income, what are you doing? Do you love it? Does it bring you joy? Does it allow you to do the things in life you want to do, both with your financial income, with your family income, your family finances, and your family time? Does it allow you to do spiritual things? Does it allow you to do philanthropic things? Does it allow you to do the things you want to do? For me, I was stuck in my office / the lab with no windows, no time with my family, no time with my friends, no time for trips, no time for philanthropy, no time for service, no time for religious service, none of that stuff, because I was in an office for 10 or 12 or 14 hours a day. It did not fulfill what I wanted to do. I'm not saying it was a good or a bad thing. It just did not match my goals. So I left. And I found the skills that I'd acquired and I applied them to something different. It is so common. In the laboratory space, we were talking and laughing because that space is so small in Utah. There's quite a few labs, but people just hop from lab to lab to lab, trying to go up the chain, whether it be from a tech to a general manager, to a district manager or a regional manager, to a director, to whatever it is, trying to climb this totem pole of hierarchy within the same space because they feel I'm in a niche space that is non-transferable to anything else. I would challenge that. whatever you're doing, you are gaining and accruing skills that are transferable to almost any space. You see, my business operation skills, being able to build processes, procedures, systems, all that kind of stuff, I can apply that to almost any business. It doesn't matter what the business is. I become familiar with the business, I can apply it. Because I had 13 years of business operation experience. I can adapt numbers to any business because every business has financials. And I have actually helped CFOs of 9-figure companies with their financials because they couldn't solve why things weren't working. And I happen to be able to in that particular instance. The skills you are acquiring, whether it be in a niche field or not, are transferable to other places. Don't think so narrowly. Yeah, didn't sound right. That you think you're stuck, that you think you can't leave, that you think you can't start your own thing, because you can. All you need is a will and a way. Pretty sure you have both. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. It is amazing what you can do when you expand your mind. It is amazing what your mind will accomplish if you let it just try. You must understand you are capable of whatever you want to do. You have the skill, you have the knowledge, you have the ability. You just need the intestinal fortitude to get it done. Will it be easy? No. It'll be the hardest thing you ever do. Will it be rewarding and fulfilling? Yes. And this is why. I get time with my family. I get to do philanthropic things. I get to do things of service. I get to help. I helped last week in a cheese manufacturing plant for our church. How cool is that? It was a Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. Whatever day it was. I think it was Wednesday. And I just donated like 3 hours of time to help serve in this cheese or dairy manufacturing plant. I was in the cheese product line to help, and that food is given to people in need. How cool is that? I'm sitting here on a Wednesday for 3 hours, just helping away. I was not able to do that before. I'm able, and I have so much fulfillment and joy because I left the golden handcuffs. We have a program that we teach at the prison. How cool is that? I get to help serve people that are currently incarcerated because of the decisions and choices they once made and help them on a better path, help them on a healing path, help them move forward and become somebody that is actually helping society and helping themselves. I couldn't do that before. I'm doing so many things whenever I want, with whomever I want, however I want. Because I chose to say, what more is there? Where can I take the skills that I've acquired and accrued over 13 years in a lab and apply it somewhere else? It took me 1.5 years to figure that out. Closer to 2 years. About 1.5 years. To realize I have a unique set of skills from a unique job. But those unique skills, they can be applied almost anywhere. I want you to think about what skills you have. Start a side hustle. Start something new. Apply it to your actual work on a larger scale, and then negotiate more pay because you are of higher value. Would you thought about that? So many cool things you can do purely because you are you with your unique set of skills, talents, and abilities. Expand your mind, do more, become more. You're capable of it. I know you are. And with that, I leave you. Have this conversation with your friends and your family. Follow me on socials, Mr. Brad Draper. You can find me on every platform with Mr. Brad Draper. Follow me on YouTube, follow me on Apple, Spotify, whatever it is. Reach out. Let's have a conversation. Like this thing, subscribe to it, download it for future listenings. Until next week, I love you guys. Bye.